early October garden in the front yard. A lot of native goldenrod have come and gone. Black-eyed Susans have had a good run, and I leave them up for the birds. The native asters are very, very happy. They take up a lot of space because they're natives. That means they like to be in Michigan. This is where they thrive. Forsythia is changing colors. Still have zinnias. And then there's some wild Queen Anne's lace I just left up. I know they're a weed, but they make a good filler for cut flower bouquets. A nice mound, another nice mound of native asters. Great space fillers and great sources for pollinators in the fall. And some coneflowers, they've come and gone. I leave the seed heads up again for the wildlife. There's a Heritage River birch, making a good progress. Here's deciduous holly. The leaves will fall in the winter, and the berries will stay and get frozen and thawed for the birds. There's a sunflower I'm going to leave up, again for the birds. There's one little zinnia way in the back. It's a nice seed head, so I'm going to leave that. And hopefully it will reseed in the spring. In the back is chokeberry. Again, that's for the birds and the wildlife. And I love the color scheme as well. I love to see changing colors. The Jacob bee balm has come and gone. I leave the seed heads up for the birds again. And other wildlife. In the back, you can see a little bit of native goldenrod. Still kind of poking out. And that's my wildlife hedge. And then this is the garden that I had grown tithonia, huge tithonia right in the middle. In the back corners, I put some more of that native aster. That's what I did this spring. I took just a couple clumps from those clumps in the front, and I put them in there this year, and that's how much those native asters grow. More bee balm, coneflower. If your coneflower and your bee balm aren't looking so great, they're not supposed to right now. That's how it is. I did put in another native aster over here that should fill in that space nicely. It's been real dry, and this is the rock garden, so it's supposed to be kind of dry. Sedums, tall sedums are doing well. Hens and chicks are still doing pretty well. We got catmint as well. And there's a alyssum that seeded itself. There's sage that came back this year. And there's some Dusty Miller that also seeded itself. This is part of the lazy gardening concept that I love, is planting things that like to grow. And I just really like that look of the alyssum with the fine flowers against the sage and the Dusty Miller. And then here's the raised kitchen garden beds. There is romaine lettuce. There is the perennial kale that came back. No matter how many leaves I pull off, it comes back. Still have a little bit of zucchini growing. And over here, we've got carrots, in addition to cabbage and kale and the romaine lettuce. And there's cilantro in there. Some people love it and some people hate it, and that's okay. I have bug netting for the daytime. I'm still seeing the white cabbage moths flying around. And at night, I put up frost cloth. And on the trellis between the two raised kitchen garden beds are still some cucamelons growing and some purple pole beans. I find I get more cucamelons and they fill out nicer as long as I keep watering. I love that clump of cucamelons. That's so beautiful. And then in the backyard, I really, really like this bed. There's just some maroon, some dark maroon basil. There's like solid leaf and like a ruffle leaf. And then there's pops of dill flowers. I just really like that. I don't know why. I think it's the light against the dark. They almost look like fireworks to me, those dill heads. And it's just nice to see in an herb bed. So I can use the basil, I can use the dill, and then there's some more of that native goldenrod, giving a little more pop of color. And this was a harvest recently. Cucamelons, pepperoncinis, cherry tomatoes, lavender, and some seed heads. Trying to protect my peppers from frost using frost cloth and plastic sheeting, greenhouse sheeting. And then the greenhouse sheeting can roll up and down to let heat in or let cold out, keep heat in, and it keeps the frost off. And then in the middle of the pathway and around the peppers, I'm going to be putting straw to mulch the peppers as much as possible and keep them from freezing. In that back part of the trellis, there's a whole lot of vines right now, so I still have to take those out and take the rest of the tomatoes out. But in the meantime, I keep pulling tomatoes that are just starting to ripen. Then I bring them indoors until they ripen, and then I process them when I get the chance. If you like the video or you learned something from it, I hope you share it or comment or subscribe to my channel. And let me know what you're doing in your October garden.